went down to Los Angeles about a year ago and briefly met the girl who's going to be on tonight's YFE Chat Live. And in the meantime, I've been really interested in the zero waste movement, this idea that everything in your home can be compostable or recyclable, the idea that nothing ends up in a landfill at the end of it. So I'm really excited to talk to Christina because that's exactly what she's done, creating a biodegradable toothbrush, and her entire company is set for some really big, interesting things. So make sure that you watch entire 30 minutes. She's going to talk about getting into Whole Foods too. Tip, very excited about that. So 30 minutes using the hashtag YFE Chat. We'll be right back. Hi everyone, this is Jennifer Donogh, the host of our weekly YFE Chat Live, the live show that happens every Thursday night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern here on YFElive.com. Tonight's episode 86, is brought to you by Ovali TV. Ovali believes in building community through shared experiences. We produce professional live webcasts that bring tribes together. And by MailChimp. MailChimp is the best way to design, send, and share email newsletters. You can get started today for free at MailChimp.com. Love those guys. So like I was saying, tonight's episode is episode 86. Last week we had Erin Condren on. That's episode 85. You can find it on YouTube or on iTunes. And it was a phenomenal interview. She's very inspirational. She's created a really unique brand. So hopefully you guys can check that episode out. Tonight's guest is Christina Ramirez, and she is the founder of Plus Ultra, and I believe the website address is liveplusultra.com. You guys can check it out. It's fantastic. It has a very big mission she's going to be talking about shortly, and right now it looks like she's starting with one product that's exciting. Like I mentioned, it's a biodegradable toothbrush, and she's going to tell us the story behind that shortly. But before we bring Christina on, I wanted to talk about a couple things that are happening with YFE. YFE's mission is really to connect entrepreneurial women in their 20s and 30s through things like this live webcast or our in-person meetups. And one thing that happened yesterday that did that was YFE Vegas Tech. Thank you to those of you on the chat that were there yesterday. Really appreciate that. Jacqueline Jensen, one of the founders of TicketCake.com, she hosted that with Alexia Vernon. It was a fantastic show, lots of inspiration, talking about how to get into a TED Talk, how to position yourself. It was just a great talk. So make sure you guys check that out. Again, it's on YouTube or iTunes. And then also, one of the things that's exciting here is that Ovali TV, it's a company that I'm an owner of. We recently, the hosting division of Ovali was acquired, and so we're able to spend a little bit more time on our live webcasting piece. And so one of the things that I'm going to start doing is doing a live daily webcast here on YFElive.com. And so you can find out more about that if you sign up for our mailing list at yfe.me/mailed it. Very excited about that. And then our book club is, of course, happening. We're reading The Thank You Economy. It's actually one more question. I'm going to be really sad. Most of all, I'm going to be sad because Stacey Harris isn't going to be hosting anymore. And she's done such a phenomenal job. Let's bring Stacey on because she's got a couple people that she's going to feature. And in just a second, I want to talk about 3 books that we have the potential for being our next book. So Stacey, before we talk about the next possibility for YFE, for the Bootstrap Book Club, who are the people you'd like to feature this evening?
I am featuring Terry Moore, who is in the chat with us tonight. She has some really great insights. If you guys are not in the book club, in the group, checking out the questions, not to say that the questions are particularly good, but the answers are awesome. The answers people are getting and the ideas and the inspiration you can get from other people is totally, totally awesome. Also, in addition to Terry Moore, we're featuring Lisa Stein, who also had some really, really great insights in the group. So thank you guys for participating and answering questions. We've had a pretty, I think, active group around this book. I think a lot of people have been involved, which has been really cool. Now let's see if I can pick another winner. Because last time we had this conversation about what the next book was going to be, I totally called it.
Okay, so Stacey, let's talk about the three options. So the first option was Unlabel by Mark Echo, and this is a book that funniest story ever. At least I think it's funny. So the book, our company, I have two partners, and one of them is my dad, who, let me paint a picture. He is 51. Am I allowed to say that? He's 51 and he's an engineer. He's kind of a nerdy guy. And he was like, you have to read this book. Well, I didn't really know too much about Echo Brand, but I knew that Echo Brand is for like hip hop culture type young adults. And so I thought it was funny. And then as I start reading it, I laughed even more because the guy, he uses the term swag bomb a couple times, and so it's just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe my dad really loves this book. But it was an awesome read, and I don't know his story, so it just evolved, and it was just a fantastic read. I listened to that on Audible. So that's option number 1 for Bootstrap Book Club. We're going to start voting tomorrow morning. If you guys make sure you join, it's yfe.me/find me in the club. The second option is, I'll do this one, Hatching Twitter. It's a brand new book that came out nicely around Twitter's IPO. It tells the story of Twitter, and it's a writer from the New York Times, and it's not necessarily a bootstrapping story, but it does talk about like the pivot behind the podcasting company into Twitter. So that would be interesting. And I'm just starting to read that now, so I don't have any like wise words to say about it. And the third one, gosh, this totally took me by surprise, is The Power of Glamour. Is a beautiful book, and so I wrote all these notes, and I didn't have the heart to actually write them on the page because it's such a pretty book. But anyway, I got this book because I thought it was going to be about fashion and beauty, and I just thought it would be an interesting escape from business. It literally blew my mind on the ideas that what glamour means today, reality shows, social media, that type of a thing, and how we market ourselves as a personal brand and our business. And glamour can be found in everything. And so phenomenal book. I'm really excited. I kind of secretly hope that people pick this one. But again, all of them I think sound good. So Stacey, what would be your pick?
As I said earlier, I was totally going to go Twitter Unhatched, I think is what you call it.
I'm excited to read that book too.
I really wanted to read that one, but then you told me in the Facebook group that the glamour book had totally changed your ideas of social media and marketing, and I'm very intrigued now.
Right?
I'm good with either one.
I know. So I'm excited to see what the book club thinks. I'll write up a little bit more so it's more understandable, I guess, later on. But so Stacey, where can everyone find you as we're going through this chat? We're talking on the chat on yfelive.com. Hopefully everyone introduced themselves. We're also on Twitter
We're at Twitter at the hashtag YFE chat, and you can talk to me directly at YF Entrepreneur.
Woo! So I'm saying woo way too many times.
I like it. You're a woo girl now.
No, I'm not. All right. Well, thank you so much, Stacey, and we'll check back in with you at the end of the cast.
See you soon, guys.
All right, so everyone, make sure that you're tweeting using YFE chat. Tweet all of your takeaways and connect with other entrepreneurial women in their 20s and 30s that way. So let's go ahead and talk about our featured guest. A Los Angeles native, Christina graduated cum laude. Am I saying that right? Cum laude in 2007 from the University of California. Oh, I graduated in 2007 too. University of California, Santa Barbara with a BA in Global Studies. It was during her senior year writing course that Christina first imagined the beginnings of what would become Plus Ultra. Tasked with developing a plan for an environmental or philanthropic organization, she developed a vision and business plan for a sustainable toothbrush brand with a philanthropic focus. So, Christina, welcome onto YFE Chat Live. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Hello, thank you.
So, I gave a very brief intro of who you are, really. But the big thing here that I'm just so impressed with is that your brand is actually in Whole Foods in a big way. So tell us a little bit about your background, especially in relation to Whole Foods and how you got involved with that retailer.
Sure. Well, hello to the group out there, and thank you for having me tonight. And I guess it all started in college when I was at UCSB. It was a global studies major, and I was just so passionate about the world, the environment, different cultures. And I had a class that told me to create a business plan for a company that was environmental or philanthropic. So I did just that, and years later, I decided to pick up the business plan again. After I decided to leave the corporate world, I worked for one of the news corporation companies after college, and I consulted various brands throughout California, Nevada, and the US with their marketing, promotions, and advertising initiatives. So I helped create campaigns and strategic initiatives for them to reach consumers on a retailer level. So whether it was at home or in a grocery store or in just any type of shopping environment, I could help them reach that consumer with a message. And as soon as I, realized that I wanted to take that information, that knowledge that I gained, and use it towards the greater good, I decided to start my company, Plus Ultra. So one of the things that I remember learning at this company, no matter how big or small the brand was distribution was the hardest thing. Whether it was brokers or the companies or distribution companies, they always had trouble with retailers. And so that's the first door that I decided to tackle was, work for a company that I wanted my product to live in, and Whole Foods was that company. So I got a job there and was a cashier for about a year, and presented my product after a lot of development and research, and just learning about what the consumers want and what the trends are, and they loved it. And so they accepted it regionally, so in 30 stores.
So wait, you pitched it as a cashier there?
Yes.
You were currently a cashier, and you
I was
said,
a cashier.
How did you get that initial pitch meeting? Did you say, hey, I'm a cashier and I got a
Yes.
real cool idea for a product?
Exactly. And it was shortly after that. Well, they loved it, and it was just very new because bamboo was not, on the market at the time for toothbrushes. A completely biodegradable toothbrush didn't exist. So it was something that's been used in Australia, New Zealand. And I was like, listen, this is the next biggest trend. You guys got to get on this now. Let me help. I'm going to take care of this. So they gave me the full support and backed me. And that's like one of the best lessons that I can give to, entrepreneurs and young women who are starting in the research stage is, work for a company that you want your product to be associated with. So that was definitely like a key, amazing experience. And
so did you actually think of that then? And just to clarify, when you went to actually get a job at Whole Foods, were you thinking, this is
get my toothbrush in here?
That's crazy. Okay, very smart.
Yeah, well, it's with any company, if you want to learn about it, you should be immersed in it. You should know the environment. You should know the experience that you're going to be playing in, from a buyer's perspective to a vendor's perspective, knowing the systems, knowing the consumers and what they demand. It's like you should know everything about it. So I got a job there and I learned about it and, redeveloped and redesigned and made sure that it was, kosher with everyone from Whole Foods as a company to what the consumers demanded.
So you said you're in over 30 Whole Foods. Is that what you were saying?
Yes.
Is that anywhere specific as far as like a region goes, or is that across the U.S.?
So that's considered the Southern Pacific region. So that's California, Arizona, Nevada, and Hawaii.
Does because one of the blogs that I got into, I think I was just getting into when I briefly met you, was Zero Waste. I don't know her name, but the blog is literally called Zero Waste.blogspot.com or something like that. And she talks about, she's in California, and I remember she wrote in constantly, toothbrushes was a big deal for her. And she was getting them shipped in from Australia. I know she talked about it on like The View and on the Today Show. So with the topic of just like the fact that you're in all of these Whole Foods, have you reached out to bloggers recently as far as getting your product out there? Are people able to buy it online, or is it really just in the retail store right now?
Yeah, so one of the things is, making sure you grow a company sustainably. So we're talking about sustainability, but growing a company sustainably is extremely important, from the startup stage to developing and making sure your factories are ready to set production, making sure that your quality controls are all ready to go, making sure that, all your salespeople, whether that's me only or a team, are ready to act. So, we sold out so quickly during our first round of production that we really didn't have time to do any type of marketing or PR because it just flew off the shelves. And so we ran a larger production round for a second round, and we launched our online website with e-commerce where people can purchase a 4-pack of toothbrushes that will be sent to them. So a year's worth, because the FDA, or not the FDA, but the American Dental Association says you should buy a new toothbrush every 3 months. So we made that convenient for consumers that are purchasing online. Right there, as you see in the shopping cart, that you can purchase a year's supply. So that's 4 toothbrushes for $22, and it takes the convenience and just adds it online. So we added that aspect to our company in April.
I love that idea.
Since then, we've been selling online and in retailers, and we're just starting to ramp up marketing and PR just because we sell so quickly that we need production time. So we're growing in our 3rd phase of production, which is exciting. But you just got to make sure that you're doing things in a way where you can grow and not create a demand that you can't meet.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, as far as Plus Ultra goes, and I should ask before I do anything else, and you can feel free to just say, no, I'd rather not answer that live. But we were talking about bootstrapping. Are you a bootstrap company? Did you seek outside investment? Was this friends and family? What did that look like?
Absolutely. Bootstrapping is, in my opinion, the way to go in a lot of different industries. Production is, it's a lot easier, I think, to go, well, I can't speak to other industries, but for me personally, absolutely bootstrapping is incredibly crucial because you need to work out all the kinks in your company and strengthen the foundation and make sure that you're ready to, responsibly accept large investments. And we're fortunately at that stage where we've worked out a lot of different, production from, half production in the US, half production in China to all in China where the bamboo grows, to making sure that our relationships are solid on the distribution level. So I think bootstrapping is absolutely vital, and whether or not you want to do it, that's your choice. And I decided that it was absolutely the way that I wanted to do things because that was going to make me a stronger CEO and a stronger founder of this company, is to be able to speak to all aspects of the business myself.
I think that's awesome. It's a great thing to think about, especially when you're talking about later on when you go to actually speak to investors. You have that experience in that entire first couple of years in business. You're not running after investors. You're actually focusing on the product at hand.
Totally, and that's what they say. Focus on the product and getting it the most efficient as possible.
Makes sense. Now, as far as your toothbrushes go, Plus Ultra, come on, that's it's not bristle toothbrush or anything like that. It sounds like there's a lot of room for a whole other, also, lots of other cool product lines. So as far as Plus Ultra goes, you also have a really big mission.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit more about why, what went behind the naming of this company and where you want to take it.
Sure. Well, we wanted to definitely create a company that was sustainable. So it wasn't just focused on one product, that it had room to grow. So that was one aspect that we, wanted to make sure that we incorporated into the name. But, the essence and the spirit of the company is all products of utility for the greater good. So we wanted everything that we wanted to do with, beginning with toothbrushes, to be utilitarian-based, practical, beautiful, simple design, intelligent, all for, philanthropic causes, for the environment, and making sure that, we were responsible and sustainable. So that was kind of the essence behind it. And, it's also kind of it's important because when you're considering the consumers that are out there, they are now considering, their purchases. Every single purchase has an effect. So if it's a toothbrush, if you're purchasing a plastic toothbrush, you have to think about the effects after you're done with using it for 3 months. You're throwing it away. Where does that go in 2 years? Where does it go in 100 years? Everyone in Los Angeles, if they're using plastic toothbrushes, where did those go in 2 years? Where did those go in 100 years? So you have to think about the bigger picture. And that's what we're starting to do as a generation, as consumers. So we wanted to make sure we designed a company that could grow with that. And just, a little bit behind the name, Plus Ultra means further beyond in Latin. And it was inspired from when I studied in Spain abroad my junior year in college. It's the national motto of Spain, but where it comes from is Queen Isabella. She pointed to the ocean and she said, plus ultra. So find something else further beyond. So we wanted to have that name represent the essence of our company of discovery, exploration, and always, challenging what already exists to create something that's further beyond conventional design or conventional materials.
I love that. I know. I
love it too.
I was looking through your website and I had no idea about the whole meaning behind the name. I was always thinking like, that doesn't sound necessarily like, Colgate toothbrush type of a thing. But once you read it, it's just a brand you really do fall in love with. So I thought it was really smart.
Yeah, we're excited for all the future products and, excited to...
Now you're talking about we. There was a question in the chat from Helen Griffin Jr. at Helen Griffin Jr. about the size of your team when you first got started. Did you have co-founders? I mean, we're talking about bootstrapping. So did you have other people that helped you along the way?
Well, it takes a village to raise a child, and it takes a lot of friends. It takes a lot of family. So when I speak in we, I, speak in everyone that's been involved, from my partner.
Everyone that knows you.
Yeah, exactly. The team of Christina, Ramirez, and Plus Ultra. But, it's everyone from, the people that you have work with you, my partner who helps, she does all the branding, all the marketing, all the, design with me, to all the freelancers that you hire to, actually do the graphics work or do the taxes or do the quality control. It's like there's a lot of different aspects to a business. And, although they may not be salary employees like a traditional company, they are part of Plus Ultra. They do get paid by Plus Ultra. They do, represent Plus Ultra in the work that they do. So when I say we, it's an exciting thing to say we. So it is bootstrapping. Don't get me wrong.
That's awesome. So, I know you have an event to get to, so I want to make sure that we don't go over time too much, but I definitely want to talk about the design behind this product, because you're not talking about just like a regular pink and white toothbrush that's in your holder. I mean, this one tells you that you look beautiful, and the product packaging is very unique to us in terms of the colors that's used and even how the brush is placed.
Absolutely.
So did you use an outside firm, or was that something that you and your partner specifically sat down and have, thought through all of this? Because it's just a crazy amount of detail that's involved.
I love your eye. You have an excellent taste. But all the branding, all the design, all the creative has been done by myself and my partner. We wanted to make sure that our brand stood out from other toothbrush companies and other companies in general. Also make it, aesthetically pleasing to consumers, and also environmentally friendly. So with those, we were tasked with combining, all of our thoughts to one piece of paper. So we sat there for hours and folded papers, cutting.
Yeah, we have a picture of that. I was looking through that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's for hours, lots of different tries, creating a box that stood out in design, stood out from the shelf, stood out to the consumer, but was with one piece of paper without any glue adhesives. So you could literally open it up and pop it out like a box, like origami. So it took a lot of tries, but that just shows that you could do anything you put your mind to, and you don't have to be a product engineer. Definitely have those people to fine tune and tweak the quarter centimeters and everything. But no, we did it all ourselves, and coming up with the logo and everything.
See, I thought for sure that you had some type of seed investment and that you were working with some type of firm too, until I started looking through the photos on your Facebook page, and I was like, okay.
And then you saw everything.
This girl is legit. This is awesome. So no, I think that's a great reminder too, that just, that saying, use what you have. Don't, if it's something that you feel like is out of reach, it's just get creative with it. And I love the idea of that you were sitting around with your partner folding paper for like hours at a time.
I mean, like, that should give you an idea of like everything from, displays to the toothbrush packaging. I flew to China personally to meet the factory, quality control, everything, make sure that the lasering was correct on, the toothbrush. So I know every aspect of this business. And I think it's really important for people that are, starting their own companies to just, do what's in their heart and not focus on the money and raising money. It's like, money is important, to pay the individuals that are doing it, but you don't need, what everybody tells you that you might need. Just go with your gut, do the work yourself, learn how to do it. That way, when you have to source it out, that that the work is valued. You understand the work that goes into it. You understand why they're getting paid that amount. So
Well, and I hope I could go on and on about questions as far as the actual manufacturing of the product goes, but hopefully everyone will reach out to you. Before we end, what's the best way that people can reach you?
Any way that they feel is best for them. Christina at liveplusultra.com is my email.
So maybe if people have questions as far as manufacturing goes, they could.
Sure. Yeah, I can tell them about manufacturing. I can tell them about retailers and margins. I can give them insight on factoring. I can give them insight on anything, really.
Yeah.
I'm a good soundboard. And if I don't know, I can definitely help provide them with the contact that would be able to know and be able to help.
Well,
or they can Twitter me or Instagram me.
They can Twitter you.
Yeah.
And just as bad as I am. Go on the Twitter. And
I like, my hobby is sleep. Yeah. I'm excited.
Well, okay, so Christina, the last question I really, really wanted to ask you was about the demand of sustainable products, because I mean, with the way that you package your toothbrush, $22 for a year of toothbrushes, that sounds affordable. That to me is like, oh, it's $22 and I'm set for a year. That sounds really great, and I'm not sending a toothbrush to a landfill. On the flip side, there are a lot of products out there that are in the sustainability market that are like, they're high end, they're high price point for something that you could get for half the price. So as far as the demand and where you see the marketing go for sustainable products, what's your opinion on that? Is that something that's going to be more in the majority in the near future?
So if I'm understanding the question correctly.
I know I kind of asked that wrong.
No, it's okay. I think maybe you're wondering how we positioned our product as far as the pricing compared to the rest of the category, and then what I think about other brands and how they can combat.
So putting it in your product specifically, how did you price it, and what were your concerns as far as competitors go? And then also as far as the future goes, do you see more people moving towards the bamboo brush or the sustainable product versus the cheaper alternative that's not necessarily even cheaper?
Right. Thank you. So to answer the first part of the question, we priced our product competitive to other competitors. So we wanted to make sure that, with a brand new product in a brand new industry, that we could introduce a product that they'd be comfortable with switching over to, because it was similar to the price point of the, product that they're currently using. So we started there and then worked backwards into the production process to make sure that we could make the product at a point where we could then sell it. And I don't know if the people out there are familiar with the term keystone. If you're not, look it up. But keystone is very important to production and to profit. So making sure that you're making a product that is sustainable and profitable to you, but at the same time is going to be competitive to your ultimate competitors on the shelf.
Well,
and then the second question, I think. Do I think more people are going to, lean towards the greener products that may be more expensive, or just greener products in general? It always takes a little bit to warm up, an industry. But once they realize the greater benefits and the longer term results, I think absolutely. When I was looking at bamboo toothbrushes, it was a product that was used in Australia, used in the UK, used in New Zealand, used in Sweden. And I was like, why don't we use these here? They're very intelligent, they're practical, they're pretty, and it's just a wonderful product. So that's why I, decided to introduce the bamboo here. But absolutely, people are going to be gravitating towards it because they see the bigger picture, from global warming to landfills to, vortexes in our oceans that are the size of Texas. So we all see and hear about it, and we all are trying to make longer term purchase decisions based on that.
Awesome. Well, Christina, thank you so much for being on live with us tonight. I want to let you go on to your next event, but the holidays are coming up, and one thing that I always purchase in stockings is toothbrushes.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone else does that, but that's always been like growing up. I always get a toothbrush in the stocking, and I do that for my husband and my son now. So where can everyone find you online?
liveplusultra.com. So it's liveplusultra.com. Or you can go to Whole Foods Market in California, Arizona, Nevada, and Hawaii, and generally ask for it. Feel free to email me if you're having issues. But we're happy to sell stocking stuffers. That was like one of our hugest sellers last year. So I appreciate your support, and I think it's a fabulous idea for stocking stuffers. And it's a wonderful way to give to those you love and let them know that you're considering the greater good while doing it.
Very nice. Well, thank you, Christina, so much.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
So, everyone, we've just been watching Christina Ramirez. She's the founder of Plus Ultra. Make sure that you check her out at liveplusultra.com and follow her on Twitter. I just followed her on Instagram recently, and I don't even actually know if she's still on Plus Ultra on the Instagram, but I always love following you guys there and seeing what's the goings on behind your businesses. So, before we leave for the evening, I want to go ahead and bring Stacey back on from at the Stacey Harris and hear what's been happening on Twitter and the chat and any big takeaways from the event.
We had lots of people talking. Everyone's really excited about the sustainability. My big takeaway from the show and the thing I liked was go with your gut, because I think we hear a lot of noise. And so I think that it's good to remember to trust your instincts. I think that's one of those big takeaways for me tonight.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just really excited to talk about the zero waste movement to begin with. But I was noticing on the chat some of the big takeaways were like her office, the photo behind.
Yeah, everybody wants that now.
I know, it makes sense. But so the office, the picture behind, and then also the name. The idea that you name your company bigger for what your bigger mission is, not necessarily the product that you're working on today.
I also liked when she talked about bootstrapping, but still being a we, because it really does. I mean, I know for me and my business, and I think probably the same is true for you, but kind of everybody in your life tends to be a part of that somehow. Like you get advice, or you're getting feedback, or you're asking their opinion on a product or a launch, or where they, find their information, or like kind of everybody contributes. It takes a village.
Yeah, I would agree. It definitely does take a village, and I tend to not, though, make it a village, and I think that's an issue for me personally, is that I don't ask for help enough, and I tend to be a little bit more private with our company, but I think that's a great point. But Stacey, so thank you so much for tweeting with everyone tonight under YF Entrepreneur and on YFE Chat, but like we were saying before the show started, at the Stacey Harris has the Stacey Harris Hit the Mic podcast. Tell everyone where they can listen to that.
You guys can find it on iTunes. It's Hit the Mic with Stacey Harris, or if you go to my website, thestaceyharris.com, it's right there.
Yay! All right, Stacey, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So hopefully we'll see you on next Thursday. November, is it 14th or 15th? November 14th. We're going to have actually on Jessica Gold Newman and Catherine Doyle of dobinclothing.com. I'm very excited for these guests. They were recommended to me by Profession Gal Meg Broussard. So definitely going to be good, and it's about the trend of the idea that people like custom things a little bit more tailor fit. I mean, we're talking about glamour. This is definitely something that's going to be up that alley. So excited for next Thursday, same time, same place, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern, here on YFElive.com. You can find replays over on YouTube and iTunes. To find out the latest with everything we're doing, though, make sure that you sign up for our mailing list at yfe.me/nailed it. So everyone, thank you so much for coming. This has been Jennifer Donogh. You can find me on Twitter at Jennifer Donogh. Tweet me and say hey, and I will see you next Thursday. Thank you.